What is up, Pacer Nation? Welcome to the Pacer Pulse podcast, the heartbeat of Indiana basketball.
Welcome, welcome.
And what do you know? I got to come on and talk about another loss, our ninth loss in a row. Yes, the longest active losing streak in the NBA right now. 9 losses. And we just lost to the Rockets 119 to 126. And it was not even remotely as close as what the final score suggests. They were pretty much up 30 at one point in this game, and then we just went on a run in the last 3 to 4 minutes of the fourth quarter to really make this somewhat like a respectable score, I guess. But honestly, it was never close. We pulled the starters at one point, like we usually kind of have this year in the fourth quarter, and it was never really a close game. The Rockets had our number the entire game. Andrew Nembhard extremely struggled from the field. Mathurin hit his shots. He actually had one of his best assist game this year, I would say. I mean, he had 4 assists to 0 turnovers. So that was encouraging to see. But still, like he only played 26 minutes or so he ended with 14 points. He didn't really get too much burn out there. Nesmith, he had 14 points off the bench. He looked pretty good. His shooting has looked solid since he's been back. Siakam got his typical 20. Jarris Walker actually had a decent game. And Johnny Furphy actually got his second start of his career tonight, which I was wondering if they would do that because they may be trying to ease Nesmith back in still. So I was like, maybe they'll start Johnny again, and they did. So I thought that was pretty cool to see. And I just wonder when they will insert Nesmith fully back into the starting five because I will say before I get to it all, at halftime, Nesmith did start after halftime. Like he came out at halftime in the starting lineup. So I don't know. Maybe it'll be sooner than later. But overall, like even Furphy, he didn't really have a strong game this game. He was kind of quiet. And then TJ, he didn't play many minutes tonight because, like I said, we were getting blown out most of the game. And also another development was Kam Jones playing in the rotation, like in meaningful minutes too. I'll talk about how he looked and whatnot, what we saw, but all in all, pretty brutal game. If you didn't see this one, you didn't miss much because lately it just has been all around bad, I would say. But you know how I like to do in these game recap breakdowns. I like to go quarter by quarter, just some of the good things I saw, the bad things I saw. Also, if you do watch this on YouTube, I do put this on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if you want like an easier listen on the way to work or at the gym, that would be a perfect place to find the episodes. And then if you listen to this mostly on those platforms, you can also watch on YouTube if you want to mix it up sometime. Just to give you guys a heads up, I'm on both platforms and just to really appreciate any positive feedback if you got it. Would love any comments in the comments section. Just to talk about Pacers basketball. It'd be cool to hear too what you guys think, your opinions and whatnot. But let me get into this game here. So, like I said, the starters were Nembhard, Mathurin, Furphy, Siakam, and Huff. And Huff has been like pretty horrendous. Sorry, I'm going off on like a little tangent here. Huff has been pretty horrendous since that one stretch where he hit like a bunch of threes for a while, and his shot blockings even went down. And even in this game, like he got absolutely destroyed. The worst plus minus on the team by far. And I think he's going to be an awful matchup against Steven Adams. He is just a big, burly guy, Steven Adams. And Jay Huff is like the complete opposite, right? So it was pretty evident it wasn't working early on, and Rick subbed him out within a couple minutes and put Tony Bradley in. That's how quick it happened. It was pretty crazy. But what I wrote early on is we were getting killed on the offensive rebounds, which, not surprising. The Rockets are the best offensive rebounding team in the NBA. We are probably one of the worst. So, I mean, I wasn't surprised to see that. And Steven Adams was just having his way early. Like I said, he was just owning Jay Huff inside. It was rough. And our offense was just looking disjointed, not looking very smooth early on. Johnny Furphy was guarding Kevin Durant at one point. I mean, Kevin Durant had his way this game. And this game really did show when we play teams like this, it's just not a good matchup for us too, because we have no one of that positional size to guard a player like Kevin Durant. And I know we didn't really have to worry about it last year, the playoffs and in the finals, because the Thunder don't really have anyone that size on the wing. The Cavs, I mean, I guess if you're worried about DeAndre Hunter at 6'8", not really, but you're not really worried about him. The Knicks, I mean, they don't have anyone. OG Anunoby, I guess, but I'm talking about elite 6'10" or so guys on the wing, 6'9", which OG did give us our problems too. But like I said, like you can just tell against those type of guys, we're going to struggle because we don't have the height and the length to guard them. Plus, it's Kevin Durant. He's a great scorer. He had his way, but I thought really rough ask of Johnny Furphy early in his career, like, hey, we want you to guard Kevin Durant, but it's good experience for him too. So I'm not upset about it. I just thought it was funny. I'm like, this might not go well because we're asking Johnny Furphy to go out there and guard Kevin Durant. And then Nembhard, at one play, he dribbled off his foot for a turnover. I don't want to go on my Nembhard rant too early here because I get it. I know the whole thing is he is asked to do so much, I guess, in terms of creating with the ball, whatnot, defending some of the best players on the other team, whatever. I just think that he gets too reckless with the ball a lot of times. And this game, he had a pretty awful game this game. It was really bad shooting, like assists to turnovers were awful. He looked pretty awful this game. And it's just kind of crazy to me too how one game he can hit his shots and the next it's like he's missing everything. It's not to this extreme, of course, but it reminds me of like when Buddy Hield was here and people were like, "Oh, he's such an amazing 3-point shooter." Well, yeah, because for 1 or 2 games he would hit like 5 threes at a 9 or 10, and then the next 8 games after that he would miss every single three. But somehow it would balance out his shooting averages to look halfway decent. And I'm not saying like Nembhard's to that extreme. He's not going that many games in a row shooting badly, but it reminds me of that. It reminds me of like, oh, like one game he'll shoot 7 or 13 or whatever, then the next it's 4 or 14 like he did tonight. It's just like I said, he's not the only one, I guess, too, but it's just that's the Nembhard experience this year. Granted, he hasn't been bad, 6 assists, 17 points a game, but shooting percentages are very low. All in all, I just think we haven't seen really like good Nembhard besides like maybe 5 games this year. And maybe I'm miscounting that because I'm really counting like his highest of 5 games. So maybe some of his best games, I would say about 5 games he's had this year where he's had like just truly phenomenal games. And like I said, maybe he's playing out of position, but sometimes I don't get the pass that he gets a lot of times. Like I get like what he's done in the playoffs and whatnot, but he definitely gets a big leash compared to like other people in terms of how they feel about Nembhard. And I'm not going to go into this episode either, but too deeply. But if you look at his advanced on-off numbers, they're pretty horrific this year. He doesn't contribute to wins apparently, which I don't know what you can chalk that up to. I'm not an expert on numbers, but I like to look at them sometimes. But he actually helps us lose more games than wins apparently. And like if you look at his defensive numbers, his on-off numbers for that, they're atrocious. They're not very good at all. They're not indicative of a guy that how some people think he could be an All-NBA level defender. I know what he's done in the playoffs, so I'm giving him all the praise for that because he's been phenomenal against SGA last year, Brunson, etc. But this year it's been a different story. I think, and I get it, some people will chalk that up to like how much he's having to do, but I don't know. I just don't, because like the same argument could be had for Tyrese, is where like people always, and I've been this myself, where I'm like, well, Tyrese should be defending better. He's can't be a turnstile out there or whatever, but he's being asked to do so much on the offensive end. So are we going to give Tyrese a pass for that since we're trying to give Nembhard that pass? I want to keep it fair here and just kind of be like, hey, like this guy isn't just flawless, let's say. So that's my little Nembhard rant. But Mathurin, he had a drive and finished with a nice teardrop. We had no center that can handle Steven Adams. And then it was just a really physical game early on. And I think that's just the way Rockets play. And they kind of get teams to play in that kind of style. And they're very good at that style. They're one of the best offensive teams because of it. And Walker hit a 3. Nesmith had a nice pass to J Huff for a 3. We were on an 8-0 run at one point in this quarter. Then Nesmith hit another 3. And then Nesmith passed it to Siakam for a 3 to take the lead. And then Nesmith hit another 3. He's been shooting very well since he's been back. It's been good to see. And we were on a 9-2 run at this point too. We went on another run in this quarter, and then Walker hit a 3 in Kevin Durant's face. I thought that was pretty noteworthy. Walker had a good offensive game tonight. I'll give him that. So at the end of the first quarter, even after some of those runs, we were down 25-30. Houston was shooting 56% from the field, 33 from three. We were shooting 47% from the field, 60% from three, and really lights out from three in that first quarter. And somehow still down five. They had 4 offensive rebounds. We had 1, 8, or they had 12 rebounds total. We had 6, so we were getting beat on that. Turnovers, they had 3. We had 2 points off turnovers. We actually had 8 points off turnovers. They had 4. And bench points, they only had 3. We had 12. Points in the paint, they had 14. We had 6. So we got annihilated in the paint this game, if you can imagine. It's just the way the Rockets are too, but we're just also not good at scoring in the paint this year. And our leaders after the end of the first quarter, Nembhard had 3 points. Mathurin had 2 points, 2 rebounds, and assists. Furphy, 0 burger across the board. Siakam, 3 points, 1 assist. J Huff, 5 points, 1 rebound, and assist, a block. Nesmith had 6, 1 rebound, 2 assists. Walker, 6 points, 1 rebound. McConnell had like 2 assists and a steal. So that was kind of our leaders after the first quarter. And going into the second quarter, Furphy, he had a solid defensive play on Amen Thompson, and he got the rebound after. I just wanted to highlight that because it just kind of shows some of that defensive potential Furphy can have, because Amen Thompson's no joke. That dude gets to the rim at will. He's super athletic. He had so many plays tonight. You're like, wow. There's not many guys that can do what he can do. And it was just a nice defensive play because Furphy's a pretty good athlete in his own right. Not top 1% like Amen, but he was able to kind of just stay in front, kind of like bump him a little bit. Furphy got a lot stronger this year too, and just play good defense and got the rebound. I wanted to highlight that. And then Mathurin hit a 3, and then we just could not score inside. All our points are pretty much coming from outside the paint, and we were giving up so many offensive rebounds. It felt like at one point the Rockets were on a 9-1 run, and Potter was in, and he was just struggling real bad. But I can't even expect a whole lot from Micah Potter. I'm not going to expect a lot, but I did right because he was getting kind of killed at one point. And then TJ had a pull-up mid-range shot, and the Rockets at this point, they were on like a 16-3 run. And we continue to have one good quarter. There's just one bad quarter, it just kind of seems to be the trend, how it always goes. We can have one decent quarter, then the next is just we fall off a cliff. And then Kam Jones came in early in the second. This is where I was saying how he actually got real rotation minutes, which I want to see moving forward, hopefully. I mean, we got to see what we have in this guy, what he can do. We traded up to get a pick to draft him for a reason. So we had to see something in him. And when he first came into this game, he didn't really do a whole lot, but eventually he did start impacting the game a little more. And Walker, he had a drive and hits Nesmith in the corner for a 3. So it was a nice drive and kick to Nesmith. And Nesmith was just lights out from 3 tonight. Siakam, he had good defense on Durant to force a turnover. And Siakam had a nice drive for a layup. And then I wrote again, Nembhard was just struggling so bad, continuing not to hit any shots. The assists weren't there tonight. And it's not like we weren't hitting shots. Some of the guys, it's just, he just wasn't creating the same way. He was getting pretty much shut down. And it's not like he was being only guarded by Amen Thompson and those guys. Like Amen was guarding Mathurin at times. There wasn't like just consistent matchups on certain guys. And then Siakam, he drives baseline, hit a nice layup. Kam Jones, I wanted to highlight this. He had good defense on Josh Okogie to force a miss at the rim. He was kind of like running alongside him and was able to like get in front of him, jump up straight verticality, kind of Roy Hibbert. I'm kidding, not to that extent, but you know what I mean. Just straight up, forced the miss. I thought it was a good defensive play by Kam Jones. Just something I want to highlight, these little nuggets that I see from these guys. And then Siakam had a nice mid-post spin, fadeaway bank shot. That was kind of a crazy shot. And, of course, we were just giving up way too many offensive rebounds. They were getting so many second-chance points. And I wrote again how Nembhard was just playing awful. I'm not trying to single him out because it's not like he was the only one, but he was having a really rough go tonight. So, at halftime, it was 48-66. We were pretty much down 20, and the Rockets were shooting 57% from the field, 33 from 3. We were shooting 46% from the field, 50 from 3. So we were still shooting lights out even. It's just they were killing us inside. It got a little rough. And then the rebounds was 27. They had 27 rebounds. We had 13 in a full half. We got absolutely destroyed on the boards. Offensive rebounds, they had 8. We had 1. And then turnovers, they had 5. We had 4 points off turnovers. We were winning that. We had 12. They had 8. Bench points, they had 14. We had 19. And points in the paint, they had 32, we had 20. And you're just not going to win many games when you can't rebound the ball, giving up too many second chance points. And then at halftime, our scoring leaders, Nembhard had 3 points, 1 rebound. Mathurin had 5 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Furphy had 4 points, 3 rebounds, so he kind of picked it up a little bit. And then Siakam, he picked it up big time in this quarter. He had 12 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists. J Huff, 5 points still, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. Walker, he had 6 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Nesmith had 9 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. McConnell, 4 points, 2 rebounds. 2 assists, 1 steal, no rebounds. Then Kam Jones, like I said, played 6 minutes. He had 0 burger across the board. Like, he didn't impact the stat sheet as much, but he also wasn't really, he didn't do anything bad to me, like where I was just like, get him out of the game. But he also just wasn't doing a lot in terms of just impacting the game in that sort of positive way. So it was pretty bad after halftime. So like I said, Nesmith starts coming out at half. And Mathurin had a nice pass to J Huff for a 3. And the defense was just rough still. Houston was getting everything. They were hitting everything. And Mathurin, he had a nice fast break layup. Nembhard had a wide open layup and just got pinned on the backboard because he went in too slowly. And they literally had enough time to run back and just pin him on the backboard. And Nembhard, he hit a 3, which was nice to see. And then Nesmith had an awful pass to Mathurin that caused a turnover. And Nesmith hit a corner 3, so Nesmith was on fire from 3. It's been so nice to see Nesmith back. I missed him. Miss seeing him out there, his hustle and just his shooting. We definitely need. And Siakam had a drive and finish. And Nembhard had a steal on a fast break for a layup. And we were on 11-2 run at this point. And Mathurin hit a nice pull-up 3. And Nembhard got blocked at the rim again. And Mathurin, he had a nice pass to Nembhard, who hit a 3. So he started getting going from 3 a little bit. And we were on like a 17-4 run at this point. And the Rockets' offensive rebound get fouled for an M1, which just kind of put the wind out of our sails here. And I don't have the stats for the end of the third. I thought I did. But going into the fourth quarter, Johnny Furphy hits the 3. Kam Jones had a nice drive and finish over Amen Thompson. It was almost like just a little, I don't know what it was, some type of hook shot almost, but it was a nice finish. It was pretty. And then Walker was scoring well. Kam Jones had a steal and a beautiful bounce pass in transition to Furphy for an M1. Furphy finished a shot and got fouled, but he missed a free throw. But I wanted to highlight that because Kam Jones had a couple steals tonight that I thought were just very nice. And then just seeing that out of him, hopefully he can kind of bring that to the game. Just seeing these little glimpses of what he can bring. Some crafty finishes inside that you don't normally see. And it seems like he can kind of get where he wants to go on the court. He's not super athletic at all. If you watch, you're like, man. But you see a lot of these guys in the NBA nowadays. You don't need to be athletic. He's just got the footwork and is kind of able to create that space and get where he wants. And I'm not trying to talk him as like a star, but it's just cool to see some of these different things he can do. And I hope he stays in the rotation in this way. But that bounce pass he had to Furphy in transition was nice. He threaded the needle between a couple defenders to hit Furphy in transition for that. So it was a beautiful pass. And he wasn't like known to be a pure point guard coming out of college because it was really not till his senior year at Marquette where he started playing point guard. But he really improved on that end. He showed to be like a nice playmaker as well. And then Walker, he had a nice steal that leads to a Kam Jones fast break layup. And that was the last thing I wrote because like I said, we got pretty much destroyed. It was like a 30-point game at one point. And our bench unit essentially just brought us back within, 6? We lost by 7. So that's the only reason why the score got that close. But it wasn't really like that. But to end this game, like I said, we lost 119 to 126. And I want to go over like the quarter by quarter scoring here. So we scored 25 points in the first, Houston at 30. We had 23 in the second, Houston at 36 points. We had 30 points in the third, they had 39. And we had 41 in the fourth, they had 21. So you can clearly see they were up big and they just let off the gas, and our bench unit came in and kind of helped us bring it within respectable losing number, I guess. But it wasn't that close at all. It was literally a blowout the entire game. And let's see, the team stats at the end of the game. Let me get them pulled up here. So we shot 49% from the field during this game, 53 from 3. That, you would take that any day. That is some phenomenal shooting. Very good shooting in this game. But the Rockets shot 59% from the field, 37 from three. I mean, they just shot that much better than us and just good enough from three. And rebounds, they have 50 rebounds to our 30. We got out rebounded by 20 rebounds. That's crazy. And you're not going to win many games like that. I know some people don't take much account into rebounding numbers, but it's not like we were missing so many shots. So they were getting a lot of crucial rebounds. They have 14 offensive rebounds. We had 8. Blocks, they had 7 to our 3. They had 4 steals to our 12. So we had a lot of steals. Turnovers, we forced 19 turnovers on them, which I think they're a high turnover team anyways, but it just don't matter for them. And we had 9. We had 37 points off turnovers. They had 12. So the fact that we still lost that badly, even though we had 30, that's pretty unreal to have that many points off turnovers. I mean, good part on us to do that, but I think that's pretty typical for the Rockets, though. They don't take care of the ball very well. And then, but 37's a lot. And bench points, we have 54 to their 34. We outscored them clearly in that, but that might have been a lot of the garbage time. Points in the paint, we have 46, they have 56, so we kind of got respectable at least. But their largest lead in this game was 28. So like I said, it wasn't really close this entire game. And then our leaders, at the end of the game, Nembhard finished with 11 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 3 steals. Mathurin finished with 14 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Furphy, 9 points, 4 rebounds. Siakam, 23 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. J. Huff, 8 points, 4 rebounds, steal, block. Nesmith, 14 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Jarrett's 12 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. Kam Jones, he played 18 minutes tonight. Had 4 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 2 steals. Not a terrible stat line. I mean, for his first real minutes in an NBA game, I'll give him credit for that. McConnell, 6 points, 1 rebound, 4 assists. And the other guys were just like bench players that it was just garbage time, so I'm not going to go over them. And then shooting number wise, Nembhard, he was 4 of 14 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. Pretty awful from the field, but not bad from 3. But he was a negative 13 plus minus. Mathurin was 5 of 11, 3 of 6 from 3, 5 of 11 from the field, excuse me. He was a negative 13. Furphy was a negative 12. He shot 4 of 5 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. He got a lot of that in garbage time too. Siakam, 8 of 16 from the field, 1 from 3. He was 6 of 10 from the free throw line, but he was a negative 15. J. Huff, negative 29, like I said, led the team. 3 for 8 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. Nesmith, 5 for 8 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, negative 10. And Kam Jones was a plus 11. He shot 2 of 4, 0-1 from 3, but he played with that garbage time, pretty much reserve unit. That's why his plus minus was like so much higher. And then Jarrett Walker was a negative 3, but he shot 5 of 7, 2 of 3 from 3. So I do want to give Jarrett some credit tonight. He had a decent offensive game, and all in all, like he was actually one of the better offensive players tonight. So, and he got rewarded with more minutes than he usually does. So I'll give him credit for that. He had a good offensive game. Furphy was just kind of didn't really have much of an impact, but not many guys did, to be quite frank. And Nembhard, like I said, awful game. Mathurin, so-so game. I mean, like I said, the turnovers, that was good. 4 assists, but shot better. But it just seems like something's still off with Mathurin. I think he's still dealing with that toe injury, I think, and that's a hard injury to come back from. I know some people don't want to like give it credit, or they only use the injury excuse for certain players if they like them or not. But if you look at what Darius Garland had been for most of the year, for the Cavs, he's dealing with the toe injury. I think he's just now starting to come back on a little bit. So it takes some time. Like the toe affects everything. And I think it's going to take Mathurin a little more time because he probably rushed back more, like probably quicker than he should have. And then Siakam had an amazing game. It really stinks that Siakam's not going to make All-Star team probably because of how bad we are being the worst team in the NBA. But this guy deserves it. He scored 20 points, I think, in almost every game this season. Or not every game, but like he's maybe in like 20 games, I think he scored at least 20 points, which is crazy. Maybe even more than that, but he's just been so steady this year. And I do wonder at some point if it gets bad enough, will we start resting him a little more and just kind of roll with some of these other guys? I think it would make sense. I mean, what are we playing for after a certain point? Maybe he plays like 25 minutes a night, or something where you kind of ease up the load on him. And we're getting Nesmith back. He had a good game, at least 14 points. He was shooting very well because he was really struggling before he got hurt, so it'd be nice to see him continue this hot shooting. And what's kind of weird too is that none of all our guys starting to come back here hasn't really mattered in terms of us being a better team, it seems. It just seems that, like, no matter who's coming back, we just kinda continue to be the same, and it doesn't really make much sense. And like I said, Jarris had a good game. I wanna highlight him because he did have a good bounce back game. I've been very rough on Jarris, and I wanna give him his flowers for this game. He played a lot better, but I'm still not sold. I'm still fine with seeing what we can get for him. Maybe we can trade him in a package to get a starting center. And Kam Jones was awesome to see that he got rotation minutes tonight, and I only say that because we gotta see what we got in this guy. And if you can get, like, a very solid rotation player in the second round, that's very good value in terms of, like, especially in this NBA nowadays with the second apron and all that, where you gotta find cheap contracts and guys that can really contribute in that sort of way. And like we can, hopefully, with Furphy, hopefully we can do the same with Kam Jones. I would like to see him continue to get more minutes, even with Bid Shepard probably coming back soon. He might play against the Magic. I don't know. He's questionable for tonight's game, even. So it could be that Ben Shepard's back for the Magic game. We'll just have to see. But I liked what I saw from Kam Jones, even if it was kind of rough at first. He didn't really have much of an impact, but he did actually kind of pick it up towards the end there, and he made an impact. And I'm very curious to see what he can do. And he just adds another combo guard to the mix, a guy that can kind of run point when we need it, or play off ball too. And I would like to see how his 3-point shooting is. So hopefully, like I said, he gets more playing time and we can see more shots from three. I mean, he's a lefty that we don't really have on this team, so it's just kind of interesting to see. And it was interesting because he did play more minutes than TJ. So I wonder if how the season goes, if we start kind of lowering TJ's load a little bit and just playing Kam Jones over TJ after a while, I could honestly see that happening and just trying to preserve TJ for next year because he's not getting younger. He's going to be 35 next year, so I could see where we're probably like, hey, let's kind of ease up on TJ and like what his load is this year, and try to like soften the burden a little bit. And because like, what are we playing for? We're 6-26, I think, right now. And honestly, the way the schedule's looking, guys, I don't know how it's going to be for this next week. I mean, we're playing the Magic, and then all right, I looked at the schedule and I forgot. It's tougher teams. I mean, it's just teams over 500 that are actually in the playoff mix. So it's not going to be easy. It's going to be kind of rough. We could easily lose the next 5+ games, I think, and be like 6-30. And I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm just being realistic right now. It's going to be hard to imagine a win coming anytime soon. So I don't know. Like, I try to find these little silver linings throughout this game. I am going to point out when guys are bad too. I'm going to be fair to everybody. Like I said, Mathurin hasn't been good at all lately. He's really struggled from the field, keeping care of the ball. That's why I like to at least point out some of these things that, like tonight's game where he had 4 assists to 0 turnovers. That's a huge plus for Mathurin. And he shot a lot better this game, so it's at least a more positive trend. And then having Nesmith back too, obviously, is a positive. And then we'd like to see more consistency with Nembhard too, and just honestly almost the entire team. But I'm at least going to hold everybody accountable, regardless of who my favorite players may be. I just think that's fair. And I don't know, Pacer Nation. I try not to be biased too much. I try not to be. And I try to be fair across the board. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And I know tomorrow we play the Magic early because it's New Year's Eve. I think we play at like 3 o'clock. So I'm going to do a game recap of them. And then I'll probably put out like another episode on New Year's Day. Maybe just another fun episode. Maybe like an episode on what I hope to see for this next year from the Pacers. Something like that. Maybe I'll do a fun episode like that. And, but I'll talk to you guys after the Pacers game tomorrow and the Magic. And maybe I'll do one in between. I don't know. We'll see. But I really appreciate you guys listening, Pacer Nation. And I will talk to you